Well, it's my honor to introduce Ben Ridgley as the speaker tonight, and I'm going to keep it brief and let him speak for himself. I just want to let everyone know that we're honored to have him here from the Northern Arapaho Tribe. He is the current director of their Historic Preservation Office. He's the former government chair with the Arapaho Tribe, and he is also the current chairman of the school board for the St. Stephen's Indian School. And without further ado, Ben. Thank you.
Good evening. It's an honor to be here tonight, and I'm always glad to be back here because we still consider this our homeland. At one time, this was our land by a government trust back in the 1850s, 60s, until the Sand Creek Massacre happened in 1864. After that, they shifted us up north here. We camped in the Denver area, and then we migrated all the way up into Encampment, Wyoming. They call it the gateway of Estes Park. And then we moved all the way up to Laramie, Medicine Bow, Casper, Wyoming. And then when we got to Casper, we moved north, a place called Midwest, Wyoming. And when oil was discovered there, they pushed us out. They pushed us west. And we couldn't go any further because in the west Wyoming at that time, our mortal enemy, the Eastern Shoshone tribe, was there. And they had a reservation, which was 44 million acres. And at that time, they had a chief. His name was Chief Washakie, a pretty famous chief because he was a scout for the U.S. Cavalry, a good interpreter. He knew English, and that's how he really retained a lot of good history with the U.S. government at that time. And then we were mortal enemies. So eventually, when we were moved from here to Wyoming, we tried to get a reservation through the U.S. government because here they removed us. We owned just about maybe half of Colorado, all the way down to La Junta, all the way up, coming into the Estes Park here, all the way down to Trinidad. That was our homeland, you know. And today, you know, as a governmental person, educator, a father, and everything that contributes to a human being, I was really glad that, you know, where we're at today in Wyoming, that is our homeland now, but the intent at that time was the U.S. government was going to try to annihilate us. They thought when they put us with the Eastern Shoshone, we were going to kill each other off, but it didn't happen that way. And when we went into the land on the eastern side of the reservation, which was 2 million acres after their land was diminished. And they lived on the west side of the reservation. They still do today, and we still stay on this side, but now we're kind of intermixed because we have marriages that Shoshone and Arapahos are together now, and they call them show raps. Because, you know, Arapaho and the Shoshone, but that's how they consider us. There's 11,000 Northern Arapahos today. There's 5,000 Eastern Shoshones. And I'm really glad that, you know, during that time period, we were able to work with the government. But everything that we do in today's society with our land, it's joint owned. Everything that we can do industrially, economically, we have to get approval from both councils. They come together. It's called Intertribal Council. 6 members here, 6 members there. And if they don't concur on one side, nothing passes. So we're in a detriment there sometimes because we want to move forward. Again, we can't do that because of the concurrence with our Eastern Shoshones. But we're doing our best today. We look back at society, we look back at how the government treated us at that time after they massacred us. Before that, I'll go ahead and say a few words about that. They, back in September of that 1864, Camp Weld was out here east of Denver. And they brought all of our chiefs in Cheyenne and Arapaho and met with our councils, the governor of Colorado at the time. And he had acquired an minister to run a Colorado volunteer army, a Methodist preacher, John Shivington. And Governor Evans, when he appointed him, they said that they wanted to meet with us because there was so much people coming from the east, the Santa Fe Trail, different settlers were coming in, and the treaties that read said we had to allow them to go through our homelands, which we did. But sooner or later, they started to kill our herds of buffalo in our game. And eventually they built their places on our lands. And that's why we caused a lot of friction at that time. So that meeting was called. So they told us to move down further south by Eads, Colorado, a place called Big Sandy, Sand Creek. So we did. And they said we weren't going to be bothered. They said that you guys are going to fly the American flag here and the flag of truce, which was the white flag, to say you guys were peaceful. So we did. Our chiefs, they took it that way. In the meantime, there was 2 soldiers from that were there, and they sat in that meeting. And when they sat in that meeting, Silas Hole and Kramer, they heard everything what Shivington Evans told the natives. You guys ain't going to be disrupted. You're going to be at peace. You'll be able to hunt. You won't be bothered. But the intent at that time was, there's a place out here called the Poor Farm. I'm working on a project right now with the city of Boulder, right next to Belmont Butte. And that Poor Farm is called Fort Chamber. And at that time, they developed an army there to train. And all that time, their intent was to train for us to come down and to massacre us. And when they trained there, they called it a 100-day army. You were going to be in there for 100 days. So they trained them there, and some of our people that live in our county in Wyoming, their ancestors were in that army. There was a father and his son-in-law that joined that service. And they live in Lander, Wyoming, where I'm from, between Lander and Riverton, 2 border towns. And when they came to the fight and train, they went down in November. Really cold down there, snow on the ground. And they kind of had it planned where they had scouts to go down, make sure that all the warriors went east to go hunt. We left a lot of warriors there, and just left mostly elders, children, and women. And when they done that, that was good timing. They went down with their army. And first of all, they went down to a place called Fort Lyon. It's called Bent's Fort now, today. They stopped there, watered their horses, got rested up, and then they went all night long towards Sand Creek, right by Eads there, about 15 miles out. And just before dawn, they got there. And Shivington surrounded our camp. And we had chiefs there, Chief Black Kettle, Chief Left Hand, Nawak. There's a town named after him over here. They were there. And he told these soldiers, they had the cannons there, and the weapons that they used was pretty powerful. Really, ammo was really built them where they could just shoot long ways and blow you up. So when they done that, they gave orders to go ahead and attack. And Kramer and the other Silas Soul, they didn't let their regiments go. They held them back. But the other ones attacked. All day long they attacked, shot, murdered all of our kids. Our little kids that were 3, 4 years old were begging not to shoot them, but they shot them. The old people, they cut them up, cut the body parts off our ladies. Baby ladies were pregnant. They took the babies out. So they did a really mutilation there, the most notorious atrocity that, you can think of when you really think about it in today's society. And when they done that, these two fellas, they didn't let their regiments come in, because if they did, I probably won't be standing here today. They would have wiped all of us out. And then there was a camp further down, Smoky Hills there, 3,000 warriors. And they knew about that. They didn't want to go touch that camp. Retaliations was the Lakota Sioux, Cheyenne, some Arapahos. And Little Raven, he's my great-great-great-grandfather. They have a street named after him down here in Denver by the Pepsi Center. That was my dad's grandfather, Little Raven. You might have heard of him. And he was a peace chief. He wasn't at that time there. And another chief called Chief Black Coal. And he was a chief there, and they weren't there when that happened. They were in another campground. So when that happened, all day long, that massacre happened. Then the Rocky Mountain News was really high on natives at that time. We were savages. We weren't human. So they wrote all kinds of articles about us, how bad we were. And when they wrote that story, they said it was a battle. They said we fought, we were fighting back. Yet we didn't know anything, And then when they cut those body parts off, they came right by the Capitol there, Broadway, paraded all those body parts on their horses with their swords. And they were saying that was a big victory. And when you really think about it, nowadays, we're healing as Northern Arapaho, Southern Arapaho people. We went through a lot. We were superhuman. Otherwise, we wouldn't be standing here today. And we're human today, and we're able now in today's society to come and share our history. give you guys a good understanding who we are as Arapaho people, Native people. I look back as a educator. I was a teacher too. I look back and look at our land here when they run us out of here. Now all that economic development, trillions of dollars are made off our land. Yet we didn't get nothing from what we did. And now we live in Wyoming, we're in poverty. We have a hard time, resources. We're still under the government called the Bureau of Indian Affairs. They still oversee all our businesses. But through the 1975 President Nixon Education Self-Determination Act, we were able to do our own governments now. If we compact our government, or contract our government, and they use that word, sovereignty. But it takes time to learn what a real sovereign person is. You guys are sovereign nations, sovereign governments here. You guys have certain ways that you guys have contributed to your counties here in Louisville or Superior, all your areas here, your open space here. You guys all have that line where you guys can do certain things that other people can't do. But us, under the law, under the supreme government, as long as the grass grew, the rivers flew, they always use that term. You guys are sovereign nations. And we were able to enact sovereignty. But none of our older councils knew about that. My father was a tribal leader in the 60s and 70s to the 80s. And when I got on in the 90s, I went to study my education in Laramie, Wyoming, University of Wyoming. I had two good teachers, professors. Boy, they taught me about how to speak. They taught me how to, everything about life, corporate, how to read people, how to understand people, and be a person of positivity, attitude, always working together to make the best of a better tomorrow. And so that's what I always did, and I got on the council with a bunch of old councilmen that was sat on there with my father. But I was glad that I was able to educate them on sovereignty, the real sovereignty. So we utilized what we could. We contracted our own programs, tribal health, WIC. And then we wanted to look for economic development. And our governor at that time, he said, nope. He said, no. We asked him, we want gaming. We said, we need to generate monies for our people, our health, our young people, our elders. He said, well, the state law says pure, mutual, betting, and bingo. And we told him, well, we're sovereign government. I said, do you know what it means to be sovereign? No. I said, well, you're the governor of Wyoming. I said, you shouldn't know that before you take oath. I said, you're dealing with two nations here, two sovereign nations. So we got with our Shoshone people. We told them we want to do a compact with the state of Wyoming, a gaming compact called Gaming 3, like you guys have out Central City. They said, the governor said, well, I don't think so. Like I told you guys can just only do this much. And then we asked the Shoshones to make us more stronger. They said, no, we don't want gaming. But they didn't want a challenge. And we had to take risks. Sometimes it takes money to make money, you know. So we had some fine attorneys. And we told them, we said, we're gonna practice our sovereign laws. I said, we're gonna educate the state of Wyoming who we are who we really are to, as sovereign nations. So we went back to the governor. He said, well, we want to negotiate. He said, well, I'm going to set aside a gaming task force to work with you guys. Each month, you guys are going to meet, work out details, how you guys are going to do things. And he just delayed it for a whole year. We went back and forth. We brought in other Native American casinos, told them that these casinos ain't going to be corrupt, ain't going to be anything. And, you know, I'm sorry to say this, but I know, you know, some of you guys know Donald Trump, you know. And I respect the man. You know, I worked with, in my tenure, I worked with Bill Clinton. He was my friend. Bush from Texas was my friend. And Obama. I worked with 3 presidents. I never worked with Trump. But I had that opportunity to work with him. And at that time, our city government, we brought that to attention. We said, we're going to work with the state, negotiate with them. Well, our city government, our local chamber of commerce, county commissioners said, no, they hit those tables. We don't want you to have gaming here. You guys going to bring corruption. You guys going to bring in Donald Trump. Donald Trump's a crook. That's what they said. Man, they were really on Donald Trump at that time. And I just sat there. I said, geez, I said, poor man. I said, he just can't defend himself, you know. Anyhow, as time progressed, we went into a compact, presented it to the state of Wyoming. Right away, the governor refused it. But we had our ducks in a row. We had everything lined up according to the federal law for gaming, National Gaming Indian Gaming Act. Next day, we filed suit on the state of Wyoming. They were surprised. They just kind of laughed about it. Oh, they're going to sue us over gaming. So we went down to Cheyenne, Wyoming 2 weeks later. The judge down there, he kind of knew that it was going to be in our favor. He read it. Checklist. We're all in compliance. Then he looked at the state gaming, and then looked at the governor. And then the Shoshones that didn't want to go with us were sitting in the back, just watching to see what was going to happen. And that was good. They probably thought, oh, well, these Arapahos are going to get beat. They shouldn't even try to use their sovereignty in this issue. Anyhow, the governor, 6 months later, he said, I'm going to hire a mediator. Mediator was from Boulder, Colorado. And he was right next to our historian. We had a historian here in Boulder his name was Tom Marr. He worked at the Boulder Museum. He worked with us for 30 years. And he mediated. 6 months later, he gave us the favor that we won a gaming pack. And then when we presented it, the state rejected it. They appealed it. They said no. They couldn't take it. And we won fair and square through our tribal sovereignty. So we had to bring them to Denver, circuit court down there. And that's what took the cake. A judge down here awarded us much gaming we want, infinitive. You guys can have much casinos you want in Wyoming. State of Wyoming ain't gonna get no money from you guys. So our gaming profits come to the tribes. We don't give anything to the state of Wyoming. Because the state of Wyoming, through our oil and gas industries, there's a severance tax, state tax, that they tax us on our own lands. I mean, we never see it. Millions of dollars sit down there in Cheyenne, which that should come back to us. So we have a lot of challenges since we were removed from here. And this land here, you know, is very sacred to us. our medicines, our water was from the mountains here that we use today. That's how we were in survival. So this land here was very important to us, Superior, Louisville, Boulder. It means a lot to us, and we respect it. And we respect all your people now. You guys are here. We just want to tell you guys, that I'm glad to be here. Welcome myself back home, and tell you guys in good, positive understandings how we feel. That we'll give you guys much support, history that we can help to develop and educate for a better tomorrow, like we're doing at Fort Chambers. Even though it's a sad place when you really think about it. They said, well, we want the tribes to come over and memorialize it with us. But there's nothing to memorialize. I told them the only thing you can memorialize is put a big old place there where all of the names of our people that were lost at Sand Creek. And that's going to honor. And then you guys can memorialize that site as a training battlegrounds. That's only right. That's because there's nothing good to say what happened there to come down and to massacre us. And that's just being honest today, And Boulder's really been nice with us, the city of Boulder. And like you guys tonight, I want you guys to have a good feeling of who we are as Arapaho people. You're always welcome to come to our place in Wyoming. Let us know, we'll take you all over. 2 million acre reservation, the most beautiful reservation in the country. Got mountain ranges, over 400 lakes, streams. And now we're at Car and Buffalo. We have our own buffalo. And we have a big cattle ranch out there, but we still need more economic development. We have our casinos, but we still got lots to do to better ourselves. And since I've been on this council and since I've been working here 25 years in Colorado, we made a lot of good strides with the universities, colleges, high schools, because Arapaho was just a street name. They didn't really know, your Colorado people didn't know what Arapaho meant. Now they're starting to know, because it's a meaning of us people that was here. We're working, just 2 weeks ago, I signed a partnership with the Arapaho Community College in Littleton. And they're flying our Arapaho flag down there now, along with their American flag, state flag. And they honored me. I was really glad because I worked with them a long time. They gave me a plaque right next. So I'm sitting down there, and it was good that they did something. And then I served on the community board at Denver University, John Evans College. And at this time, there's a lot of controversy. People are understanding what he did to us, and they kind of want to reject a lot of names, what he done. But we fly the Arapaho flag, the Cheyenne flag, and the Cheyenne and Arapaho flag down there on their campus now, in honor of our people there. So we're coming along, working with Aurora campus. I served on a multicultural committee in Boulder CU, scholarship committee. Then I sat on the Belmont View Alliance for about 5 years. So I'm familiar with all the areas there. I did a lot of landmarks here in Colorado. I'm still working on them. I'm writing a book. My book's going to be published in August of 2024 on Arapaho history in Colorado. It's going to tell a real story because you're going to get the real oral histories, the real understanding from a Arapaho person. And it's going to be positive. I just want you guys to know that. Because you guys all have good minds. You guys all are intelligent in different areas, and I want you guys just to learn that we are a people. We're not savages. We're unique. We're not only tribal government citizens, state citizens, and also United States citizens. So we have a government-to-government understanding with everybody now, which makes it good. We can do contracts, MOUs, MOAs, and a lot of the park services. I work with Rocky Mountain. I work with Pawnee, work with the Air Force Academy, Pinyon Canyon. I think I work on about 50 projects here. And I'm glad to do that because I'm doing that for the future of our kids. A lot of our kids don't want to go to school here. I want them to start getting scholarships for them, reaching out, getting educated at their homeland, and going back to try to help our people. So that's why, it's good that I'm here tonight. I can explain a lot of things to you guys. It's good. It's good country. Boulder. We had 2 welcome home powwows back in 2000 at the university. And I developed the Sand Creek Spiritual Run, 1998. From the site, we ran to Denver, Colorado. And each time, the governor and the mayor signed a declaration for us, honoring us, spiritual healing run. I have it every year. We didn't have it this year, but we have it at the state capitol. And that's just to show the respect that we still are people here, healing from what happened, from all those atrocities. So it's very good that, we have that a good understanding. And we brought all my youth down when I was on the council. I was chairman. I brought 70 runners. We ran from the site to Wyoming, 680 miles. We ran like a relay. Took us 6 days. Now you get into Wyoming off Highway 85, Cheyenne. The state of Wyoming honored us. They have the historical Sand Creek Trail. You see all them signs going up all the way home. And then people ask, what is that about? And pamphlets. Next time I come down, I'm going to give you guys a lot of handouts so you guys can really know. I was going to today, and I was telling Mr. Phillips there that my son was in the hospital. Kind of drew me off, and then my daughter, her vehicle, they couldn't take her lug off. So she ended up riding with me and left all my Sand Creek panels and everything. But tonight I wanted to talk to you and give you the same education that I would have with all that information. So, I'm really pleased to be here. I know you guys come from all phases of wherever you guys are working at, and you guys can, carry our message, a message from myself to your governments, so you guys can really know and understand. And like I said, you're always be invited to our reservation in Wyoming, called the Wind River Reservation. Just let us know, our government will set you up. We have a hotel at our casino, and you guys can come and set you up different sites, give you more of an education of who we are. So there's just so much things that we've done here in Colorado. It's doing with Sand Creek. We're not done with Sand Creek because in Sand Creek we're doing interpretive signs now for the park. So people, when they come and pray and say some prayers for what happened there, there's places there they can value what really happened there. It's a strong place to be because so many lives are lost there. Blood still sits on the ground. But what we're doing is the healing process, making it better for our young kids that we bring down to run. This way they know where they came from. We're getting a buffalo back now, thanks to some of the organizations there in Denver. We have a herd of about 80 buffalo now in Wyoming. And our eastern Shoshones have about 100. So we're getting close to 200 buffalo. Well, we'll be using those for ceremonial uses. Because the northern Arapaho still have our ceremonies. We have our sun dance and other dances. And then we have our social gatherings, the powwows. Everybody's invited to those. And so we try to educate our border towns And the bad thing about Wyoming, it's still a frontier state. It's still, it's just like riding into Dodge City sometimes, But, they got to get that understanding that they got to move forward. We have our border towns that are still racial, but it's okay. Our kids have to work around that. Wherever you go, you're going to run into that. Even our people are racial. So wherever you go, you got to make the best of it. Try to get along, treat each other good, say some good things. And, I know that, we're coming along, and you inviting me makes my day. I was able to come down today, and I just felt good about it. I just said, well, I'm going to really tell the people a lot of good things that can be done here in Colorado. We can make a good understanding for the state. We work with Colorado Commission of Indian Affairs, the Lieutenant Governor's office. So I served on so many committees. I know what to do. Back home, I serve on committees. 24 committees I serve on total right now. But I enjoy it. That's what makes my life happy. My children are all grown. I got grandchildren. And I'm even a full-time musician too. I'm a drummer. And my brothers lead guitar, bass. And in honor of our people that died down there, we're playing for 40 years now. They call us the Indian Creedence Clearwater Revival. Because we still can play, never off a beat yet. I started playing in a club when I was 16. My father had to be with me. And a lot of our people in Wyoming treated us so good because they were glad to see Native Americans playing guitars, drums. And we were semi-professional. We could have went professional, but we didn't. And my band's called Sand Creek. We came down and played for Boulder when they had their centennial celebration about 10 years ago. Played for the university, played in Denver. So whenever you guys want to hear some good tunes, some good country, rock, polka, just get a hold of us, Be coming down, you guys will see the real natives playing, But, I did so many things thanks to my father and mom. We were ranchers when I grew up. We were disciplined. And then I worked towards martial arts in high school, Kung Fu. That's what kept my training, my discipline to where I'm at today. So I'm always got time. Time management is what you need to make your day. But take time out to think about things, Take time to really realize, who we are as people. We'll always be here to help you guys out in any ways we can, So I'm glad, again, to be here. And, I can talk along more about our projects. And the only thing, too, one thing I was going to mention, just a little over I-70 there by Kipling. I did 2013, I did a series on Cripple Creek, or the Clear Creek that comes through Denver. That gold that comes down from our runoffs. My grandfather literally even used to camp there. And that was the first city in Denver called Arapaho City, Arapaho Bar. That's where all of the traders used to hang out. But I want to I'm working on making that a monument. So the Arapaho people will know that. And the people in Colorado will know that. And I want to work with the legislation about getting us a license plate with Arapaho on it. And finishing the trail from here, meeting in Wyoming, Sand Creek Trail. So there's a lot of good things I want to bring out. So, we can help wherever we can to keep educating for the better of tomorrow. So with that, I'd just like to say ho for you guys' fine attention. And I respect every one of you guys, what you're doing, so you guys can help us make a better tomorrow. Thank you.
Mr. Ridgley, would you take a few questions?
Yeah, you bet.
Okay. Give a few more minutes for some questions.
Yeah, you guys can go ahead and
We'll have
ask anything you want to.
Microphone
raise your hand.
Yeah, raise your hand and
If I can turn it on.
Hello, and
hello.
thank you for being here tonight. Your stories were very interesting.
You bet.
I have a question for you. You mentioned that the Arapaho and the Shoshone were mortal enemies. Can you tell us why?
Well, that was because of land. Every tribe was territorial. And, you know, if you stepped on their land and didn't ask them, you know, that's caused a lot of trouble. But a lot of it was just through time. You know, when you had enemies or you try to help another tribe out. But a lot of times why the Shoshones was the target is because they were the scouts for the United States Army. And they fought a lot of the tribes. See, that's what the tribes didn't like, because they were being attacked by that. And they were being used as scouts to get us. But I'm going to tell you one thing is, since the last 3 years, I was able to make 4 documentaries. I just made a most recent one with a lady, Candy Moulton, in Camet, Wyoming, called Red Butte Battle. See, not only was Sand Creek, after Sand Creek happened, a lot of battles happened after that, skirmishes, because they retaliated. Cheyenne, Sioux, Arapaho, they fought a lot of little armies. They fought a lot of settlers, and it went clear into Wyoming, Casper, Wyoming. Casper Collins was taking care of the fort in Casper. And when they got to him up there, the battle, Red Butte Battle, they massacred him and 28 soldiers. And they buried him in a mass grave. And today, they still can't find that grave. So I took my monitors down there, work with the other monitors, archaeologists. So we're just going to try to find where it was. But I did a documentary on that and told a story, because Sand Creek caused a lot of retaliation, like the Battle of Julesburg, Fort Fetterman in Wyoming. So all of those battles come back to Sand Creek just for retaliations. So, you know, we got lots. Even our Cheyenne people in Oklahoma, and they were massacred by Custer, General Custer, 7th Cavalry. And they killed the chief that was at Sand Creek, Black Kettle. They killed him and his wife down there. And these 2 people I just got done mentioning to you about from Lander, they want to remain anonymous, big families now. They don't want any retaliations because their people killed their people, but there's nothing that, you know, there's nothing to retaliate now, you know. That was history. But it's just their thoughts, you know, saying, oh, I don't want to tell our Arapahos that my grandfather killed their people. But we just wanted the details, because the guy the son-in-law kept a diary, 100-day diary, every day what happened. And we just wanted a copy of that to take it to Sand Creek. And that would be very useful, you know, for that history. So, you know, we wanted to things just like that, just to bring more positive understandings to us, you know, so things like that. But today, you know, we get along good with our Shoshones, even though how politics works. You guys know how politics works. And, you know, it gets crazy sometimes, but there's always solutions. If it's a yay or nay, you know, you guys have to work it out. We do that back home, our Shoshone people.
Anyone else have a question?
Is this working? Okay. Just wondering if well, I have 2 questions real quick. Were you involved with the name change for Mount Evans?
Yes, I was.
Good, all right.
What
Figured.
happened, being a Sand Creek representative, it came to our attention a few years back. They said there's a group that wants to rename the mountain because we were going to rename it. We had several names we wanted to do, but when it was broken down into Blue Sky Mountain, the Northern Cheyennes, our brother tribe up there, said no. We don't want to call it Blue Sky because we have a ceremony. But then we thought about it. We said, well, there's Cheyenne Mountain, and Colorado Springs already named after the Cheyenne. So we wanted Arapaho Blue Sky Mountain. So we did, because originally we were on different places first before the other tribes were. And we got names for everything. Estes Park, Colorado around here, and Arapaho. So I brought my runners down. We did a prayer service with a group that wanted to name them, and they walked from the site all the way up to the lake up there, right next to Mount Evans. And we were up there, we went up there and we talked to the people up there. And that's what I was involved with, but I was glad that it came down to Blue Sky Mountain.
The other question was there any specific history about the area where we are, Cold Creek and Boulder Creek? Any special names?
Yeah, there was a lot of history there, oral histories from my grandfather, or some of our older people. And a lot of it, was dealing with the coal mines. At that time, they didn't want to mess too much with now, because they were already into a lot of skirmishes, and more trouble would have arrived if they got involved with more problems, because the way the Arapaho people respect lands, at one time, was so respectful that they didn't want to tear the land up. They had a lot of difficulties when we went to oil exploration. They said, we don't want to put holes in the ground to develop oil or gas. But nowadays, we're exploring different areas, and that's how we treated the land. Because at one time, they said, don't disturb the land. But this is part of how it was towards that time period.
I was gonna ask
Oh,
a
okay.
second question.
Anybody else? Any other questions? Okay.
You guys don't have no government questions? I'm always used to that. That was my favorite. People say, why are you running for council? Why are you chairman, I said, well, I got a 7th sentence. My skin is thick. I said, so I'm able to take everything. It's just another day at the office. Yeah. Really, though, I'm used to it. I went through so much. I was only 39 years old when I was on a chairman for the tribe, and I went through a lot. It's like the state of Wyoming when we went to court with them. That was a tough battle, but we won all of our court decisions because we followed protocols of how sovereignty works. We just didn't go in there and start saying, I'm sovereign, that's my stuff, No, there's laws that we have to follow, especially through the federal system. Because you got to realize federal laws supersede state laws. So I just want to say that in reality. And then they say, you guys get federal funds, state funds, but it's the way the states are broken down. The money really comes from the federal to the states when you really look at it reality. So that's, there's things that people don't really understand.
One more question.
So I have a question because I'm very unknowledgeable about the history of your people in Boulder County.
Yeah.
at the high point of when your folks were here, how many Arapaho were in Boulder County? And can you tell me a little bit about what their life was like? I mean, I just,
Well, how we utilized the lands was in the summer. We went up and gathered for the winter. All of our things at the teepee poles. We hunted skins or make teepees for the cold winters. That's how we used the lands in Boulder. And we knew the creeks, utilized the water for our ceremonies. So those kind of things were done with our people in this area. We respected the land. We utilized everything in a good way. We didn't waste anything. Everything that meant to us, it was Mother Nature. That's how we survived. We didn't take more than we should have because we left it. Other tribes might have wanted to use more. Could have killed all the game, but we shared and those kind of things like that. Survival.
If we wanted to learn more about the history, the Arapaho indigenous culture as well, what are some of the best resources that after this event we as individuals could read about or find online or watch to just educate ourselves a bit more?
Well, I'm going to email a list to Mr. Phillips here on books, and then you guys can look at those because there's a lot of good people that wrote books about Arapahos. One book that a Native American Arapaho woman wrote called Arapaho Politics. You'll learn a lot. That one tells you just about everything of how the Arapahos function and how they lived in all those eras. So that would be a good resource. And then when I did my research on Sand Creek, there was a book called The Front of the Month of the Frozen Moon. I don't know if you ever heard of that, but that tells of Sand Creek too. Developments, how everything happened, transpired. These kind of resources, I can get them because we have a lot of books at home. And we got a lot of oral histories too. Can send you some tapes you guys can listen to, audio. And we're developed now to do that kind of technology.
Well, thank you for all of your information. I was just, as a follow-up to her question, though, I understand the respect for the land, but what kind of housing? How did you, we get cold here in the winter. How did you keep warm?
Can you repeat that again, ma'am?
Well, what was your housing?
At that time?
Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing that we had was just the teepees. Yeah, and they had to really insulate them in the winter. They used a lot of fur, used a lot of buffalo furs, elk, because how they developed them, like I said, they were very intelligent because they used a lot of rock to hold down air coming in. And then they had fire pits in the middle where they kept fires. That's why I said summer was very important to us. We hauled a lot of wood from the mountains. So we had firewood in the summer, for the winter. And those teepees were insulated, blizzards and everything. It's amazing how they were, They stayed in there and covered up, and animals were very important to us, especially the buffalo. We did some research on the buffalo, and they've come up with about maybe 250 items they used off the buffalo. Soaps, cleaners, different items they used. So we knew what we were doing.
I once read that the children used the blenders as ball to play with. Is that true?
Yeah, they did. And then they used, they didn't have no jugs to haul water. So they used the bladders of these animals, buffaloes, cleaned them out, and then they hauled water with them, filled them up with water. They were just like water buckets. So like I said, they knew their stuff.
Well, once again, thank you very much, Mr. Ridgley, for
Yeah.
your
You bet. Thank you guys for your attention. And like I said, you guys were a good audience. And I'm glad, I was able to do more for you guys whenever you guys wanted to know more and give you guys more history. But I'd like to see a flag flying here too, Arapaho flag.
Well, come on by and visit with any of us. You have any questions? And,
Yeah.
so these funny little name tags can either give you an answer or make one up, whatever.
Yeah.
Thank you once again.
You bet.
All the way from Wyoming.
Yeah, all the way. All the way from Shoshone country.